my name is Kelsey Libert. I'm the Director of Promotions at Fractal. What I'm here to talk to you about today is the anatomy of a viral hit, how to reach millions, cultivate relationships, and generate links. But what I'm really here to do is to show you how viral emotions set unprecedented SEO results for your clients. Over the next few slides, I'm going to tell you two viral stories. What's important for you to remember about these stories is the emotions that they make you feel. So starting off, let's take a journey back in time to the 1960s, when famous toy maker Mattel came out with Slumber Party Barbie. Along with combs, hair rollers, and a sleeping bag, this Barbie set included a scale, permanently set to 110 pounds, and a book titled How to Lose Weight. Inside of this book was one all-capital message, the words written, "Don't eat." Decades later, this advice would reemerge as the code word IDEA, short for the chilling slogan, "I don't eat anymore." Remember those two little girls who idolized Barbie as their role model? Here they are today. In spring 2013, Fractal began collaborating with rehabs.com to create a viral marketing campaign centered around the dangers of eating disorders. Our goal was to come up with a comprehensive, interesting, and highly shareable campaign that would resonate with a large number of people in a strong emotional way. What we came up with was a public service announcement. Your ideals are literally impossible. By presenting this idea, we were able to tap into the emotions that exist in many women. We presented them with data to help provide them with a sense of relief, saying that your body issues are largely a result of society and symbols like Barbie. That in fact, if Barbie was in real life, she would have to walk on all fours and would be incapable of lifting her head due to her measurements. Right? Yeah. So, did it work? Yes. By creating an emotionally compelling, accessible, and broadly understood campaign, we received viral success. Here are some of our engagement metrics, but I know what you're more interested in is the link results. This campaign was naturally picked up by top-tier publishers. Sites that you normally can't get one link from wrote a story including 2 links back to our client. Overall, 273 publishers wrote and linked back to our client for this campaign. So now what I want you to do is think about overall what emotions you just felt. And not just the emotions, but the strength of those emotions that you felt and which ones you felt the strongest. And then I want you to brace yourself for the next set of pictures. Even earlier than Barbie, again, we collaborated with rehabs, this time to create a campaign centered around the dangers of drug use and abuse. For this campaign, we created a highly visual depiction of real people who suffered a tragic progression of drug abuse. By creating a visualization of these pictures, we were able to tap emotions in a strong emotional way and fast. The Horrors of Methamphetamines was born, and perhaps the single highest grossing infographic campaign was created. This campaign, between the infographic, video, and landing page, was seen by close to 4 million people, had over 300,000 Facebook likes, received a segment on Inside Edition, and also 3 unendorsed celebrity tweets. Again, the story was picked up naturally by top-tier publishers who syndicated the content. Overall, resulting in 1,200 unique linking domains pointing back to our client for this story. So now that you're starting to see the success of viral content, how do you actually achieve it for your clients? Up next, I'm going to present you with 2 studies, mostly focusing on viral emotions and how to engage with your consumers in a deeper way. First up is actually a Google-funded research study, something called the Engagement Project. This study serves to provide you with insights on how brands can connect with consumers more deeply in the participation age. Their first finding is something called the fascinating familiar. Ironically, this is also based on something called the forgotten familiar. What it says is basically that we all have these services or products that we have in our households, but maybe we don't use them as often or think about them as often. Now, as agencies, how do we get that in the forefront of our consumers' minds? Well, by taking your product or your idea and juxtaposing it in a new way that provides a new perspective to consumers, it suddenly becomes fascinating. What was once boring and common, you just have to see more of. I don't know how many of you here have seen the Will It Blend campaign, but we all have blenders in our house. But when you throw an iPad in it, it's suddenly pretty interesting. Like, holy crap, why would they do that? This campaign was seen by over 15 million people, just a single video, and they blend a lot more than that. Next up is something called synaptic play. Basically, this is what neuroscientists explain as when you make connections between seemingly unrelated ideas, your brain starts firing, and when you make those connections, you experience creative joy. Now, as a kid, you experienced this a ton because everything was new and you weren't confined to what goes together. You're constantly asking why and how. The beauty of the web is that we can now put together these ideas that didn't used to go together, whether it's the Gangnam Style videos, the video you see here, and allow people to experience that creative joy again, to think outside of the box of what they see every day. Lastly is something called the energy exchange. This goes back to emotions. When you share content, you're not really just sharing the content, you're driven to share it based on the emotional experience that you engage in when you read that content. It's actually something that we're innately wired with since birth. When your mother would smile at you as a baby, you would instinctively smile back. You're sharing that emotional exchange. So you need to start thinking about what emotional response your content is eliciting. If it's just an ad for your client, it's probably not so much. If you're regurgitating content that people have seen before, again, not so much. You need to be providing new ideas, new experiences for people to engage with. Okay, so those are 3 ideas from Google, but there's got to be something else. That's not enough to go viral. Some of you may have heard of the publisher Upworthy.com. But what's really impressive about Upworthy is that in their first 6 months of launching, they received 8.7 million unique monthly visitors, well beyond what BuzzFeed, Business Insider, and Huffington Post received in their first 2 years of growth. Now, how did they do that? What do they attribute that to? Last month, June 2013, their editorial director spoke at a conference where she revealed the unknown data secret that no one is talking about yet. What she said, the basis of what she said, is reframing emotions as data is the X factor. You can't control it, and you can't afford to ignore it. Cue the viral emotions study. This is actually a study that was done on behalf of Fractal before Sarah had even talked about it. But we just started to see these trends where emotions resonate with more people, and which emotions are actually more viral than others is the one that we were after. What we did is we researched Reddit.com, basically known as a viral kingmaker. If most of you don't know it, what it is it's a site where people and users can contribute content, and then people like us, like this whole audience, will upvote the most interesting, relevant, engaging content. So what we did is we looked at a specific subreddit, our picks. We took the top 25 images that were voted with the most interesting of all time, and we took away any of the image that you would need previous knowledge of. And then we coded them with 30 different emotions. And not only the emotions, but the depth of those emotions that people would feel. What we found is that the top 4 images of all time in our picks had the strongest emotionality score. This means they evoked the most emotions in people. You have to think about how your campaigns are evoking those emotions. Next up, we found that there are 10 emotions that actually appear more often in all the 25 pictures. Top 3 were amusement, interest, and surprise. These are the emotions that you want to include in each of your content campaigns. Additionally, we found that contrasting emotions actually increase the emotionality score. So pairing something like sadness and happiness, hope and despair, increase those deeper emotions that are felt. Secondly, in the pink, you can see the positive emotions, and to the right, you see their emotional multiplier. Again, this is how you increase the emotional score, is pairing both of these emotions in your campaigns. Similarly, these are negative emotions, again, paired with the multiplier on the right. So you want to pair anger and doubt with empathy and self-identification in your campaigns. Of course, doing it once wasn't just enough. We had to prove we wanted the same results. So again, we repeated the study, new pictures, new users, and what we found again was that surprise, amusement, interest were the same emotions that kept popping up. So most importantly, if you're going to do any type of viral campaign, you want to evoke the interest, the surprise that people feel when they see your campaign, not the same thing they see every day. So emotions aren't enough to go viral. You can't just regurgitate. You need to provide high production value in any of your campaigns. Doing an article and an infographic is no longer enough to engage with consumers very deeply unless you're presenting a new data study or new research. If you're just repurposing old content, that's not enough. You need to be experimenting with new web technologies. For example, WebGL is a really great one to do. In addition, any campaign you do, really you want to expand the types of mediums that you're spreading it on. You don't just want to do one, you want to pair it with 1 to 3 different campaigns at the same time. Google is actually also investigating into the WebGL, and they're cranking out a ton of these projects, and they've said explicitly the reason they're doing this is to inspire people like us to create more of these interactive, engaging projects. So, viral link building ROI. Where do we stand in comparison with standard link building, and why should you really start doing it? Well, my specialty in specific at Fractal is promoting these viral campaigns. And what I've seen online more and more is these publishers shouting out how their inboxes are inundated with emails. Content marketing is on the rise, and their emails are going higher. Most, on average, receive at least 100 pitches a day. That's to one individual editor, not the publisher at large. Mashable, which I'm sure you all know, gets an average of 1,000 pitches a day. How do you stand out with just a subject line in that? It's extremely difficult. So what you need to do is start getting your campaigns in front of these people on the web and having them naturally write it for you. One thing, we're all SEOs out here, we're all concerned with the do follow links. But with viral content, you are more concerned with audience over rel no follow. Thank you. So the thing here is that you can get like a huge CNN placement, which is awesome, but with a viral campaign, they may not have as an engaged audience who will spread your content wider. So what you really want to do is target the people that have the audience. Remember the Faces of Meth campaign I showed you earlier with the 1,200 links? That was placed with one outreach placement on BuzzFeed.com. Now, whether you're a staff writer or you're a contributor, all of their links are no follow. So you need to be going after the people that have the audience, because that makes the difference. So calculating the ROI, Neil Patel actually put out some numbers for what you should charge per link. Granted, I know none of you are charging probably $20 per link. It's more like $1,500, but we're going to be conservative. We did 2 sets of number, a high estimate and a low estimate. For our first Faces of Meth campaign alone, we reached close to $400,000 for a value for our client. Given the high estimate, the original numbers that Neil actually presented, it was closer to $900,000 return for his investment value. So like I mentioned, we had 3 unendorsed celebrity tweets. They were kind of C-list celebrities, but they were still celebrities. So we estimated that at about $30,000. And then the Inside Edition segment was at $166,000. The cost of the client and your clients is usually under $35,000 for this campaign. His ROI was closer to 3,000% high estimate, 1,500 ROI low estimate. It's very valuable for you to be pursuing these viral ideas. It's lower cost to you, lower cost to your client, higher return, more likelihood that they're going to engage with you again in the future. And viral content isn't just a single hit. It's a single hit, and done right, it keeps up the sustained traffic. The first bump you see there is that Faces of Meth campaign. The second bump is the Barbie campaign. And even today, we're at the same growth we experienced when we first launched the Faces of Meth campaign. In case you're curious on what your own ROI is, or at least you want to set a benchmark for future campaigns, one of my business partner, Dan Tinsky, just this weekend came up with a ROI calculator for content. So you can check it out right here. It's a shortened link, Fractal ROI Calculator. that's a wrap.
Thank you so much. I was actually scribbling more notes. I blog a lot. I run a lot of content at Moz. One of the things that I struggle with personally, does it have to be a giant campaign, with Barbies and everything? How, for most of us just doing everyday content marketing, how do we fit these, viral emotions and influences into our everyday work?
Yeah, so mostly what it is that you don't need a huge budget to do these campaigns. What you need to be investing in is the research. You want to have new research, fresh research. The biggest thing is you don't want to regurgitate what someone else is saying. So whether it's an article you're producing or something else, you just want the new idea, the fresh perspective on whatever it is you're publishing.
Yes, we have a question over here.
Yeah, thanks, Kelsey. That was fantastic. My question was about the viral campaigns you were mentioning in the beginning of your presentation. Obviously, to be viral, these campaigns are going to have really sensitive topics like the body image and the drug campaign. Do you, as you're creating these campaigns, think about the risk of the audience responding negatively to a fact that a brand is bringing up these really sensitive topics, and that might have a negative long-term effect on the relationship between the brand and their audience?
Yeah, so it is somewhat like the two topics I mentioned could garner negative attention. I will say there are always going to be trolls on the internet. But the importance is that the message that you're giving, overall, if the majority of the people will see it as a good message, like we're fighting body image issues, drug issues, if the message you're giving is driving home that this is for a better cause, not just bashing on something, then I think that's a really good point to drive home with your campaigns. And you can always be there to jump onto the comments of the people that are saying otherwise.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in a way, what I'm taking away from that is sometimes the emotions that you're working with can be identified with your brand, and so you want to be careful about the messages you're putting out there.
Yeah.
Do you ever have clients that are uncomfortable with the emotions that you're pitching?
We tend to take specific clients knowing that they're okay with that, because in order to go viral, usually you are presenting a not widely known perspective. You're presenting a new idea that could be controversial, but you're just driving home the important message at the end of the day.
Kelsey, thank you so much.
Thank you.